Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series on fundamentals of aircraft design. This is Puspendu Nandi from UDAN, the Aero Modeling and Robotics Club of NIT Rourkela under Technical Society, SAC. So before moving on to the lecture, I want to give a disclaimer so you guys can pause the video and read this. It will hardly take 1 minute. So in this lecture series, we will discuss on the following topics. You can see those topics on the screen. So we will start from very basics so that anyone with no prior knowledge regarding this topic can understand very easily. And we will go up to a certain level where you will be capable enough to design every component of the aircraft, of the model aircraft, and even analyze its performance before fabrication. Right. So today's topic will be on aircraft components and their uses. Okay. Uh, so let's get started. Actually, this lecture will be a bit different because I won't be showing the whole aircraft and explaining the uses of each component. Rather, I will be telling the requirements, and you guys will tell what components we need to satisfy that requirement. Okay. Uh, Obviously, this is not a live session, so you can't reply directly. But obviously, you can pause the video, think about it, and then write it in the comment box. I will definitely check it out. Okay. Mm. So basically, our objective is to design something that can fly, right? So how is it possible? Can you guys think of some crazy idea to make things fly? If you have one, then write it in the comment box. Okay, so now I will discuss about a widely accepted method of flying. To to fly, we need something which can produce upthrust, right? Mm. So this can be done by using as complex as rocket rocket engines, or it can be complex helicopters uh, blade mechanism, or it can be as simple as air balloon, right? Here you can see the air balloon which also flies, and it is very simpler than this rocket and helicopter. So we will go with something simple yet an efficient design than all of this, that is an aircraft. And you guys please write in the comment box why using a wing for flying is a better option. So by now we know that we need a wing, right, to fly. So here we have our wing, but the problem is wing alone cannot produce lift. We need air to flow over it. So the air must flow at specific relative velocity uh, with respect to the wing to produce enough lift force so that it can counter its weight, right? So air must flow over the wing. So to do that, we need some other component, that is engine. uh, Basically, engine will produce enough thrust so that aircraft can attain enough velocity. And if you see with respect to the aircraft, basically aircraft is at rest, and the air will be moving with respect to it, right? As you see in case of like while traveling in train, you guys must have seen you are sitting in the aircraft and trees, buses, all are moving behind. So the same thing goes for the aircraft here. So basically, till now we have a wing and engine, right? So and obviously the wing alone won't be flying in the air. We want to sit in the aircraft and fly with it. So for that we need a fuselage, and to run on the runway we need landing gears, right? So here you can see the aircraft wing, engine, fuselage, and landing gears, right? uh, So let's say now we have enough components to take off from the ground, but we have again we have some other problems. You guys must have seen a commercial aircraft, right? They are huge in size, right? So for taking off with such a huge load, the aircraft need to travel at very high speed, right? And to attain that high speed, it needs to travel a long distance on the runway. So we need, but in reality, the runway length is not that much long. So we need some components so that we can temporarily increase the lift of the aircraft. So if we can lift the air, if we can lift increase the lift force on the aircraft, then it can easily take off take off in a short runway, right? So for that we use high lift devices that is called flaps. So flaps are present near the fuselage. As you can see here, the fuselage, it will be present near the fuselage and wing. Like on the wing there will be a cutout portion like this one here. You can see like this kind of cutout portion will be present, but it will be near to the fuselage. So on the cutout portion we will have our flap. So in this picture, you can see a commercial aircraft which is taking off the ground with its flaps deployed. So this big component which you can see here is the flap. So this is basically used to increase the lift. But how they do that? So to understand how they increase the lift, so first we need to first I will show you uh, the cross sectional view of the wing. So, so here you can see the cross-sectional view of the wing. Basically, the wing is in the shape of airfoil. Uh, Here we have all the terminologies associated with the airfoil, but you need not to worry about all this. For now, you just focus on this red line. This is called chord line, right? And this chord line is found by joining two points. First point is the leading edge, which is the foremost point of the wing, and the next other point is the trailing edge. This one, which is the endmost point of the wing, right? So connecting those two points, we will get the chord line. So now, as a thumb rule, you guys just remember that if the angle made by this chord line with vertical increases, then the lift force on the wing will increase. So if somehow uh, we can change the angle of attack. This is the angle of attack made by the chord line with the horizontal. So if somehow we can change this angle of attack, uh, we can increase the lift force on the wing, right? So we use the same concept to increase the lift. So here you can see how flaps are used uh, to temporarily increase the lift force on the aircraft. So this was the chord line before deploying the flaps, and this is the new chord line after deployment of the flaps. So here you can see that effective angle of attack increases due to the deployment of the flaps, right? So now we have almost all the components required to take off from the runway uh, at a short distance. And one more thing I would like to add: these flaps are not used during the whole flight, because with the increase in lift, it also increases the drag force or air friction. That is not acceptable during the flight, during the cruise flight, right? So we use this flap only during tip. Okay, now everything is right. So let's say we took off from the ground. We are in air. We are enjoying very much, but we need to come down to the ground, right? We all are human beings. We all need food, water, and etc. Many more things, right? So we can't stay in air forever. So we need to come. We need to maneuver the aircraft and return back to the place where we took off. So to do that, we need some components by help of which we can maneuver the aircraft. So currently we don't have any component which can be used to maneuver the aircraft. So let's take an example of cycling. Right, you all have cycles in home, so you guys must have noticed that while taking a smooth turn in cycle, you guys generally bank, right, like this kind of thing. You generally bank towards one side to take a smooth turn. So same thing goes for an aircraft. Aircraft also need to bank or roll towards one side to take a smooth turn. So to do that, we use a component called ailerons. These are very similar to the flaps. Uh, so, so basically, the work of this ailerons is to increase the lift on one side of the wing. Like in this case, in the left side of the wing the lift is higher, and on the right side of the wing the lift is lower. So basically the work of aileron is to create a differential lift, right, and it works in exactly the same principle that the flaps do, basically by increasing the angle of attack, right. So here in this picture you can see the aircraft is rolling in anti-clockwise direction. So more lift is produced uh, in this side of the wing, and less lift is produced in this part of the wing, right. The only difference between flaps and ailerons is the flaps can move only in downward direction, but the ailerons move alternatively in upward and downward direction, right. Like in this part of wing you can see the ailerons are in downward direction, but in this part it is in upward direction, right. So this way it creates a rolling moment. So by now uh, we have enough component to take off and even roll in air. And okay, so by cycling you guys you don't always roll. Sometimes you also need to steer the cycle. And again the same thing goes for an aircraft. Aircraft also needs to steer, but in case of aircraft we don't call it steering, we call it yawing, right. So this is so to understand how yawing works, let's take an example of a simple rod which is hinged at its center, right, and we are applying a force F at a distance d from the center, right. So from your basic 910 knowledge, or from your basic common sense, you guys can tell easily that it will try to rotate in anti-clockwise direction uh, due to the moment produced by this force, right. So basically it is yawing in anti-clockwise direction. So what if we can apply the same concept for an aircraft? Yes, we usually apply the same concept, and like the same thing is valid for an aircraft also. uh, so this is basically done by using a rudder which is further attached to a vertical stabilizer. So by actuating the rudder we can basically change the direction and magnitude of the force, right. Basically this you can see in the picture, this aircraft is hinged at this point. Basically this is the center of gravity. This is not hinged, but we can assume that it is hinged kind of thing, right. So if somehow we can apply a force on this tail, on this vertical stabilizer, then the whole aircraft will yaw towards anti-clockwise direction. Okay, now let's have a look at how a vertical stabilizer look like. So these are all the components that we had till now. This is a vertical stabilizer, and in this cutout portion we have our rudder, right. So we can actuate this rudder to change the magnitude and direction of force, right. So this is how we can yaw in both clockwise and anti-clockwise direction. Okay, apart from yawing and rolling, aircraft have another motion that is called pitching. So we can pitch up and down by using a horizontal stabilizer. uh, this is the horizontal stabilizer, and in this cutout portion we have our elevator. So this elevator can be actuated to pitch up or pitch down the aircraft. Okay. So if you had understood the working of a flap, like how it increases the lift, then understanding all the concepts of horizontal stabilizer, vertical stabilizer uh, will be a cakewalk kind of thing. So because all are very similar. The only thing is here the forces are applied at a distance from the center of gravity. That's why it is creating a moment, right? Okay. So now we have enough component to maneuver in the air, right? So now, do you think that this vertical stabilizer and horizontal stabilizers are only used to support this elevator and rudder? No, it is not. They have their own function, and it is uh, very important component of an aircraft. As the name suggests, stabilizers. So basically, it stabilizes the whole aircraft. Like so, so consider a wind of gust uh, hit the aircraft, and the aircraft got tilted towards the clockwise, towards the anti-clock direction. So we want that without giving any input, the aircraft must return back to its original position. So how it can return back to its original position? If if the aircraft if the aircraft generates a clockwise moment, then the aircraft can return back to its original flight path. So this clockwise moment can be generated by the help of these vertical stabilizers. Uh, you can see here that the vertical stabilizer is also in the shape of airfoil, so it can also produce the lift force. But as the vertical stabilizer is in the vertical plane, so it produces a sidewise force. Uh, so it is not called lift, rather it is a sidewise force. So this sidewise force uh, produces a moment which is very useful for stability, right? Uh, so so as a vertical stabilizer is also in the airfoil shape, so it also has a chord line. So this is the chord line you can see here. So after the aircraft got tilted, the chord line is making an angle of attack with the original flight path, or uh, with the airstream velocity, right? So as I had already explained uh, in the case of flaps, that as the angle of attack increases, the lift force increases. So here also it is very similar. As this angle of attack increases, the moment provided by this vertical stabilizer increases, and it tends to return back the aircraft to its original flight path. So this is how a vertical stabilizer stabilizes the aircraft. And in the very similar fashion, the horizontal stabilizer also stabilizes the pitching axis of the aircraft, right? So here is the function of aircraft. Uh, the function of vertical stabilizer is to provide directional stability, and the function of horizontal stabilizer is to provide longitudinal stability. So to summarize all the controls of the aircraft and stability, I will show you a chart, so that will be very easy to understand. So here you can see the primary controls of the aircraft. Uh, that is the first one, ailerons, which is used for rolling, and the aircraft roll about longitudinal axis. So this axis is the longitudinal axis of the aircraft. Second one is the elevator. Elevator is present in the horizontal stabilizer, which is used to pitch the aircraft, and the aircraft pitches about lateral axis. This is the lateral axis of the aircraft. And the third one is the rudder. So rudder is basically used to yaw the aircraft, and the yawing is done about the vertical axis. So this is the vertical axis of the aircraft. So coming to the fourth column, that is the stability column. The ailerons is used to provide lateral stability to the aircraft. So when the aircraft basically rolls about the longitudinal axis, as the aircraft rolls, this lateral axis also rolls with the aircraft, right? uh, so uh, so so the name lateral stability come came from this. Like the aircraft is rotating about longitudinal axis, but it is stabilizing the lateral axis. So the type of stability is lateral stability. Similarly, for elevator, the 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 aircraft is pitching about lateral axis, but uh, it is stabilizing the longitudinal axis, like this one. While pitch, if the aircraft's nose goes up, this longitudinal axis will also go up, right? So so the type of stability is longitudinal stability, right? And for the rudder, the the aircraft yaw about this vertical axis, and the type of stability is directional stability, right? So if you have any doubt regarding this stability, you guys can write it in the comment box. I will reply. So by now we have almost all the components to maneuver in the air, and we and our aircraft also have a natural tendency to stabilize itself. Okay, very good, fine. So so now we can easily land back from now we can easily land back on the runway from where we took off. So let's say we maneuvered in the air and we somehow touched down the runway, right? So now we again have the same problem that we had during the takeoff. Did you guys remember what was that? Yes, it was the runway length. Uh, so so basically now the aircraft is touching down the runway at very high speed, and we don't have very long runway to stop the aircraft within that length, right? So now we have to use a similar kind of thing to the flap, but this time the flaps don't move in the downward direction, rather it moves only in the upward direction, and it is called spoilers or air brake. So here in the picture you can see the spoilers deployed. So it basically obstructs the air, and it increases the overall drag of the aircraft, and it also reduces the lift force. So this is how it assists during the landing. Okay. Uh, so so as of now we have designed an aircraft which can easily take off within a short distance. It can maneuver in air, it can stabilize itself, it can even land in short distance. So very good, fine. uh, okay. And okay, now I will add one more component, that is wingtip. It is usually present at the tip of the wing. uh, you can see in almost all the commercial aircraft have this kind of bending towards the tip. So this kind of structure plays an important role in reducing the overall drag of the aircraft, and it increases the overall efficiency of the aircraft, right? But how this wingtip work, that will be a bit technical, so I won't be going deep into that. But I had a task for you guys. uh, Check out how an airfoil produces lift and how this wingtips reduces the drag of an aircraft. Okay. If you already know the answer, you guys can write it in the comment box. I will check it out. Okay. So to summarize, this is the list of all the important components that we had discussed till now. Okay. So this is a animation kind of thing, the movements of all the control surfaces. This is the propeller. These are the ailerons which are moving alternatively. Uh, here here we have our elevator, and this is the rudder, right? Okay, do you guys think that designing of the whole aircraft is so simple that we can place all the components in its place and it will fly very easily? It is not the case. If it would have been so simple, then why the hell we have a lot of different kind of designs on Earth, right? Like all these designs look so different from each other, but still they have their own importance, right? Like this first one, the X5, this was an World War II aircraft, and this aircraft can literally change its wing shape during its flight. This aircraft was fully designed to break the sound barrier. Like during the time of World War II, breaking the sound barrier was like an as in very like it will give you an upper hand, right? Second one, we have a B-2 bomber, uh, which is currently in use by US Army. uh, so as the name suggests, B-2 bomber, it is basically a bomber which has very high stealth capability, and it can bomb anywhere literally. Like this kind of B-2 bomber, like this kind of aircraft, you would have also seen in the Avenger movie, right? If you guys remembered. And third one, we have Grumman X-29, which is a German-made aircraft, and it is the most unstable aircraft ever built. Like this aircraft was built unstable to get uh, high maneuver, right? But it is not in use currently due to its high instability. And the third one and the fourth one, we have P-51 Mustang. It has a tapered wing, as you can see. So all these designs are so different from each other because they are designed to meet a specific requirement, right? So in the next lecture, we will be discussing the about the terminologies associated with the design. So now moving on to the last section, that is historic designs and what we learn from them. Uh, so basically, this section is to uh, make you understand the essence of good designing, right? Uh, so in the first, we have de Havilland Comet, which is the world's first commercial jet airliner. But unfortunately, it got busted like a bomb due to the high pressurized air inside the fuselage. In the second one in the list, we have Hindenburg, which is a German commercial passenger aircraft. Um, it basically looks like a balloon, and it don't have any propulsion system. It basically flies due to the presence of low weight helium gas. Um, but unfortunately, helium gas is also a highly flammable gas. That's why uh, it it caught fire, and the aircraft blasted off in air while landing. The third one in the list, we have Lockheed Martin's SR-71 Blackbird. Like, this is one of the marvelous engineering designs, and this is also my personal favorite. Like this aircraft can literally travel at a speed more than 3.5 Mach, and it is kind of invisible aircraft. Like no one can shoot it, right? But it is currently not in use. Fourth one in the list, we have V-22 Osprey. This is one of the incredible designs that had been made till now. Uh, this aircraft can literally take off and land like an helicopter, and it can fly at high speed like an aircraft. So this aircraft is an awesome design. You can also see this aircraft being used in the movie Godzilla, the King of Monsters. Right? You can see that. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you. Signing off.